Welcome to the Chase Merrell podcast. I am your host, Chase Merrell, and we are all about helping people get freed up from what's holding them back so they can build up who they were made to be. If you want to help us continue to make an impact with this podcast week in and week out, consider joining our new Patreon community. For as little as a cup of coffee a month, you can be a part of helping us get the message and mission of the podcast out to more people more effectively. This is a way that we can come together as a community, and you'll get access to behind-the-scenes stuff, additional resources and content, and so much more for just as little as $5 a month. You can head over to chasemerrill.com and click Patreon to jump in and get started. Now let's jump into today's conversation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people from far and close, this is Chase Merrell, and you are joining me now on episode 52 of the 52 Project with my 52nd guest, repeat guest. Started this project, episode 1 with him, and I'm closing this bad boy with him. My one and only brother, Landon Philip Merrell. Welcome back to the Chase Merrell podcast, my friend.
Dude, happy to be here. 52 episodes, man. That's congratulations.
52,
awesome.
bro.
52. That's a big deal. The consistency. I mean, come on. How you feeling?
52 episodes, 52 weeks. I mean, I honestly, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe this has happened. Like, as people would be listening to this or watching this, for the 52nd episode of this project, that it actually happened. And as I was thinking about 52 people throughout the whole thing, having Holly last week, my wife, as episode 51, then you again as 52. It started and closed this whole thing with the two of you. I thought, I don't really have maybe 52 people, but I really did and do, because I had Kim and Dave Leatherman were a couple
right.
on one episode. So 2 people in one. So there's one. And then I also had one with 3 of my guys they were in a high school life group that I led when I was a youth pastor a few years back. And so we've hit actually over 52 people, but aside the point, man, this is crazy. It's crazy to be here. It's crazy to be here in this moment.
Man. Well, I think what's so cool to me from being in the first one to being here is watching that consistency, like every single week, pumping this out. Your editor, Andy, right? Like, shout out to him. Like, so cool.
Yeah, Andy Irwin, man.
All the different
wouldn't
stuff.
have happened without him.
But that's the thing. It's like, I think for me as your brother, seeing you start something and finish something that's this big of a venture, of a time consumer, like, just so cool, man. And I'm really, really proud of you. And it's also been really fun to watch the episodes and dive into people I don't know and people I do know. And my wife was on here, and watch the episode with mom and dad and grandma.
Yeah, she was.
And, your parental in-laws, like, all just so fun, just so cool.
Yeah, man, it has been an absolute incredible journey throughout this year. And I mean, I'm thinking about our first episode 1. We were at that point I just decided to really pull the trigger on it, in large part because of your encouragement. That were a week or 2 before that had just felt, like, man, I feel like I'm stepping into this season of kind of getting healed and really freed up from some things that had been holding me back for so long. And I really want to help people do that as well in different ways. And, your encouragement to just, man, start a podcast and just go for it. You've got to do it every week. And I remember hearing that from, I don't know if I was watching a Marco Polo back or if it was in person, and just that thought of, like, he's right. If I do this, I do actually need to do something every week for that consistency, no matter how difficult. You were like, even if it sucks, you got to do it. And speaking of sucks, bro, episode 1 with you and I, which, by the way, when I look back on that, that night was crazy. We ended up taking probably 5 or 6 hours to record 45 to 50 minutes of tolerable content.
I was and the like 10 hours of setting up that day. We came back for dinner, and then we went back to record. So it was a whole thing. And then I ended at like 4 a.m. and I had to literally be on a flight. Like, it was just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, you didn't go to sleep. You went straight, I think, from the church here where we recorded straight to the house, and then Uber or whatever picked you guys up, and boom. And again, your wife was so gracious. She, you guys were still, newly married, and she's got first Christmas at our family, and we have our phones silenced, no notifications, because we're trying to finish this stinking thing. And she's probably like, "Where's my husband at 4 a.m?" And that was I learned very quickly, like, you suck at communication, Chase. So you got to grow. But I think
that was
thankful
the moment
for that moment, that I learned that. Yeah, probably. It was probably that moment. But also, just real quick, thinking about that too, like, bro, that episode, audio wise, again, like, it sounded like we were hanging out in like a metal trash can the entire episode. Like, literally, I don't know. There was moments where I was like, what did they use to record? They literally had to have taken like a metal cup and put those like around the microphones and said, like, let's just try this. Like, let's just see if this works. And
it was like the
man,
reverb setting was dialed to 11 somehow on both of our mics, and it was
and it was like the reverb setting through like an iMovie application from like 2003. That's the kind of level it was.
100%.
But we have grown in multiple ways through this project. And just to know, man, that to take a initial just moment of this episode and say thank you again for the belief and the encouragement back when it came earlier, or the end of 2022, where I really was walking through a difficult thing in that year and stepped into this new year really knowing that God was calling me into something. And you had such an unhesitant, like, yeah, man, absolutely. People need to hear from you in this way. And I recognize that that's not always the kind of experience that sibling relationships provide. And it's not like we always have that either for each other, but I do think, I think about how grateful I am for the voice of my brother. That really just challenged me and encouraged me to step into it. I wouldn't be here. I mean, this wouldn't have completed had it not been for the way, you, even throughout the conversation or throughout the project, having moments where I had more doubts or hit more walls, and was able to have you to process some of that stuff with. It really helped bring me to this point of 52, and really there's a whole new side of me that I really feel has unlocked, that the Lord's unlocked throughout this project, that I'm excited to continue to explore with him in the next season. But yeah, so back to that first episode. Lots changed over this year for both of our lives. I remember that first episode we were talking about, you had finished writing and had begun preparing for getting ready to shoot a short film. And I remember just all of the different factors around that, okay, is it actually gonna happen? Are we gonna have the right funding for it? Are we gonna have the right locations, the weather, equipment, actors, all of that? And you overcame a lot to get to that point of actually filming, and then, dude, what a process. Will you just give people a snapshot of that world? Because a year later from that whole process of like for so much of that episode, it was also you and I really talking about the big picture dreams, and like, man, God's called us to different things, but in a similar way, or in the same kind of way, a similar thing. And you were on that side of it. Now you're on this side of it, and just kind of give a snapshot of that world. Like, and I know that was back in early part of 2023, so you have to go back a ways, but just give us a snapshot of that.
Man, it was such a cool journey. I will say this: I learned a ton through it. I think that we honestly saw the Lord show up in so many ways that just opened doors to like get things done that shouldn't be able to get done. Like a massive storm came in right when somebody got sick and we couldn't film. And so weirdly enough, it was like if we were filming, if that person wasn't sick and we had to film, all the locations we were supposed to film on would have been flooded out. So much money would have been wasted. I don't even know if we would have been able to complete the short film. So it's things like that where it was like that guy got sick, we had to push it, which was crazy. Trying to get every 15 people's schedules to line up again for 4 days was insane. And these are,
Insane.
awesome, talented, people that are in the industry that are working actors and working crew. And so like for them to have to figure out their real schedules with real Netflix shows and different things to like come be on this short film was really difficult, but they were so gracious and such awesome dudes who just had such great ideas. They were really collaborative. And yeah, we went out there, we did the dang thing. And it was such a blast. And then I got back and I had all this footage. And Dominic Capone, he was one of our producers on it, he like assembled all the footage for me so I could just go in and go right into the edit. And then I edited for, I think it was 2.5, 3 months straight. Man, it was. I think here's what happened though. To be fully honest, I think what happened was there was a version of, I think for me, I just turned 30 that year, right, or this year, and
Okay. Right. Happy birthday,
I'm
dude. January.
oh thank yeah oh yeah, 'cause it's about
It
to be.
was. I think I actually returned. I think we actually like released our episode 1 either on or the day after you turned 30, technically, and so this one's going to come out right before you turn 31, before the year ends.
Yeah, and that was the thing. It was like I think I hit like a mental milestone in my brain of like this is where I should be, and I wasn't. And then I got married, and that was the best thing ever in 2022. And so I'm in this kind of
Yep.
weird flux of like if I don't make something happen right now, like pre kids, pre whatever, like my career is not going to go anywhere. And I put all this like pressure on myself and all this like weight of like
Yeah.
I'm trying to hit these metrics. And I did, man. I like sat inside and edited like crazy. And praise the Lord how patient Katy was with me during that season. And fast forward, we did it. There were a couple things happened, but like the VFX guy that was supposed to do all the VFX for the short film, he dipped out because of some family stuff. So I had to just kind of jump in and do it all on my own. So I had to learn, and that was crazy. So it pushed me, which was really really cool. But I think the bigger lesson I learned through that after it was done, we got it done, ready to go, colored. It got scored. The music by Mike Malarkey absolutely crushed it, and we put it out into the world. And that was in June, so about 6 months ago. And yeah, it got like 1,000 views, right? And so something inside of me, something
Yeah.
internally was like, what? Like I did everything. I spent 11 months, almost a full year on this thing, from writing to producing to rewriting to just assembling people, campaigning to get the money. And it was like a weird pit in my stomach moment where I was just like, well, dang, it didn't go the way I wanted it to go, in the sense of that. Like I still love the final product, so proud of what we did, and I don't want to diminish that at all. But something inside me wasn't
Yeah.
fixed or wasn't filled, right? And then it was just like this realization of
Yeah.
like, oh man, I think that for me, um, I kind of have something every single year I'm working towards, and even subconsciously there might be a version of like I'm trying to put something in the hole where God's supposed to be, right? Or I'm
Yeah.
working on this
Yeah.
thing, and not that it's a bad thing. It was great. I love what we did and the collaborative nature of film, and we worked really hard. And then when it didn't go where I wanted to go, it still didn't satisfy. And I was like, dang it. And it was like
Yeah.
this moment where it clicked, where I was like, oh, like this is me still trying to fill that thing but it's not God. Right. And so
Yeah.
idolatry
Yeah.
to some degree. And so, but then it was like, I think for me, I like having things to look forward to. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But when it starts to become your whole world, you can get so tunnel vision, and you're thinking, well, no, I need to do this thing because all these other things are going to come down the pipeline. I won't have time, or I won't have enough sleep, or whatever it is. And I'm not mad at the work ethic side of it. I think that's still great. But there was a balance of like 3 months of my life I didn't really live. I was inside. I'm editing. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm working towards a project, and of course it's fun and had hard moments and it's good moments. But I was like, this isn't the answer still. And this isn't
Yeah.
the thing that's going to satisfy me. And it really brought me back to the Lord, of that, like, oh, I need you. I need you daily. I need you moment by moment. You're the only thing that satisfies this thirst, this, continue, whatever. All these other things are still great. All these other things can still bring joy and fulfillment, but not at the level of what the Lord does when you're in the Word and you're living your life according to Him. And so that was the cool thing, was they kind of reset that. And moving forward after that short film, it was like, cool, like I'm going to still pursue these things and have a ton of
Yeah.
fun doing it, but at the same time, my ultimate pursuit is my relationship with Jesus. Period. Like that's it, and
Yeah.
everything else
Yeah.
comes underneath that. And even since then, like our marriage has been so much more fun because it's more fulfilling because it's not this thing on a pedestal, or film's not the thing on the pedestal, or a book I'm writing, it's not the thing on the pedestal. It's like these are just things we get to do as we exist on this earth for the allotted time that we are allotted, and that's it. And then we get to go love on people, and it's that same principle mom always told us, which is people are more important than things. And that's been my second
Yeah.
passion recently. It's just been like, how can I love on people more? How can I, and big kind of breaking news to some degree, we're moving to Tennessee first week of
Woo.
of January, which is big life change and a lot of cool things looking going
Huge
to
life
that.
change,
But
dude. Let me before jumping into Tennessee just for a quick second, and
yeah,
and thank you for sharing that journey, bro. I think about when I thought about this episode, and I was going, okay, what would be even different about the main thread from our conversation in this episode versus the first one? What would stand out the most? And literally, the thread that kind of was highlighted to in my heart was the idea of your short film, and even my podcast project being in completion today, and talking about like how much it took to get to that finish line, and
mm,
yet how on the other side of the finish line, it still didn't necessarily maybe unlock what we thought it would. And that doesn't take away from the things that were or are incredible about the journey or the product that was accomplished throughout that. But I knew that was going to be one of the threads I wanted to just talk about, because man, how many I just life, so much of life lived is this pursuit of whatever it is in front of us that we feel like, man, if we accomplish this, if we could do this, if I could finish this or see this, or I mean, the if then thing can
mm,
just become that all consuming pursuit. And it doesn't mean that what you're pursuing itself isn't, a bad thing, but it's the way that it's pursued and how it becomes ultimate. You use the word idol, but so there's a couple of pieces to that I want to just press into. Part of your journey and part of this journey here was, there's something about what it takes when everything hits the fan in moments, or it seems like um, it's just not going to work out the way you thought. And I've learned, I'm still learning, but I've learned throughout 52 episodes of this podcast over this year. And I know you did, as you stepped into the largest production that you've ever been a part of on so many scales, from your own Landon Merrell name on it, type of thing. That no matter what, there are going to be things inevitably that end up happening that are out of your control, and you will have that moment of, okay, so is it over, or do we figure out a way through it, or do we adjust expectations, or do I step in and do something? And man, I think that there's a lot of people that don't do this well. They either pick an end of the spectrum, and I think we both have learned or are learning how to find a sweet spot, but because I think some people give up, and that's been more my story. I like to think I'm not a give up person. Like, I like to think I'm like a no quit guy, and on a lot of things in life, I am. I mean, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to just difficult, challenging circumstances, there's a lot that I would say I'm gonna quit. But when it comes to me being a part of something that I'm creating, or I'm the one responsible ultimately for, there's a lot of start and stop, and so I think a lot of people lean that way, where when it gets just either too difficult, or man, something just doesn't line up, that it's easier to just push the eject button, and take the loss, cut the loss, if you will, and move on to something else. And it's always easier, I think, for somebody to restart something or a new thing than to stick through the difficult wall that they're facing with the thing they've already started. So there's that. Some people go to that extreme, though, and then there's the other side of the extreme, which is like, I won't ever quit. I will, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I will, there's nothing that'll get in the way. And I don't care if I have to, bleed my own blood if I have to get, to the point of making this thing complete. And, that was a dodgeball reference. I'm not sure if you caught that because I know you're a movie guy.
Oh yeah, I know.
And
I remember.
Ben Stiller says, "No one makes me ever bleed my own blood."
No one makes me bleed my own blood.
Man, we haven't seen a good Ben Stiller movie in a while. I feel like. Speaking of,
you know what? He's directing a show called Severance, and it's dark and intense.
Oh, he is the director of that one.
Yeah. He's the director and he's executive producer, and that he's really good in that. I mean, that I'll take that all day. I do miss comedies with him, but he's a great director.
Yeah.
Ever since Walter Mitty, I've been like, yeah, I'll watch anything you make.
Okay. Speaking of that, real quick, ADD or ADHD brain tangent here, because that's also new. That's also a new revelation for me that I brought to the podcast since episode 1. But speaking of Ben Stiller and the is it The Secret Life of Walter Mitty or the something like that?
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. So Josh Jones, my good buddy Josh Jones, who was episode 3 on the podcast, who also jokingly was like, I was the first episode. He was talking to me about the other day. I was like, I'm having an episode with my brother to finish this because he was the first and now he's the last. And he's like, I think I was the real first episode. So that was a joke. I'm just want to make sure he gets that shout out. He's talked to me about this movie, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It's his favorite movie. And it said, like, I remember him telling me it like changed his life. And he couldn't believe I hadn't seen it. I still haven't seen it. I need to see it.
You haven't seen it?
I keep hearing it's really... No, I keep hearing it. I can't find it anywhere outside of like buying it on some.
I own it.
I know.
I'll send you my Apple ID.
You do?
It. Oh yeah. It's a
Apple.
Great movie. I watch
hopefully
it.
Apple executives aren't listening to this podcast.
It's called family sharing. Stuff. It's fun.
We are family.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, it's such a good movie because it's accepting the call to adventure, and it's just saying, I forget my cubicle. I'm actually going to go live life. And it is one of the most beautiful, fun, charming, sweet, imaginative. It's a great movie. I give it an 8.5 out of 10, maybe a 9 out of 10. And just funny. I don't know. It's a great, I watch it like once or twice a year when I need some kind of inspiration. It's a good one.
Yeah. So I definitely, it's on my need to watch list. So, back to you, I bleed my own blood, which is what led to all that side tangent. That's the other end of the spectrum that I see people go to, and I don't see a lot of people live in a healthier place where it's like, man, you can actually find a healthy place with a big audacious dream or a project or idea, and navigate that without quitting, but also without killing yourself or losing your family or losing your priorities in the midst of that. And I just think it comes down to, here's what I would say I've learned in this process for me. That even though there were times where I had to deeply sacrifice what my plan was in order for this thing, 52 episodes, to actually happen, that there were also moments where I recognized it's okay to make an adjustment to the expectation so that I can be more present with my wife or be healthy, because I need a little bit more sleep here on this day. And so, man, the podcast is going to come out a day after when it normally does. Or, I'm going to have to release 2 next week because I'm going to go, on a vacation this week. Things where I just had to learn that it's actually okay to adjust what some of those things are in order to not lose yourself in that process of your unrelenting pursuit. And I'll tell you what, I don't think I found the healthy place yet, for sure. I know one of the biggest things that I want to step into in this next year, 2024. And I'll talk more about this probably as the new year starts, but just that, there's definitely some healthier rhythms of life that I need to step back into in order to make sure the people that are the most important in my life, i.e. my family, my wife, my children, close friends that need more of me, healthier me, family, extended family that I want to just be more available to check in on, and phone call, FaceTime, things like I just realized that that I'm going to have to reassess some of those things moving into a new season. But that I can do that, I think, without completely bailing on the dream. Or there is a way to navigate potentially both without either completely quitting because it didn't happen the way you thought, or never quitting but losing everything else in the pursuit of it. So I think I saw that process being a narrative throughout this project that was continuing to be highlighted, and I think I saw you navigate some of that with the short film, and then that point of hitting to the conclusion of it and recognizing just gave 11 months of my life to this. And again, doesn't take anything, which, by the way, it's an amazing short film. Pause, because I haven't said that yet in this podcast, because you were episode 1 and I didn't really have an episode since then that would have come up with, since you released it in June. But incredible, man. Like, if there's anybody listening that somehow found this along the way and you haven't had a chance to go watch Landon's short film, it's on YouTube. It has more than 1,000 views, and it is actually, like, beyond worth it being more than 1,000 views, whatever that even means, 1,000 views or values or not. Because there's some garbage videos out there that have millions of views that don't have any value of, again, right? Just who really knows? But the idea, dude, you brilliant, I can't say it. Brilliantly, there it is. Brilliantly, there it is. Wow. You think after 52 episodes, I talk a little better. You wrote such an incredible story, and character development in a short amount of time is really difficult to do, and you did it well. You brought us in to care about this thing right out of the gate. You gripped us. The concepts themselves were like, man, okay. I remember after watching it the first time really going like, okay, I know I need to watch that again, like almost immediately, to figure out what some of the dots that are being, that aren't being connected right now. But there was enough breadcrumby stuff or whatever for me to go, there's something there. It wasn't just this complete, like, what the heck? It was like, what the heck? But I know where, it was 16 minutes, 17 minutes. I forget how long it was.
I think it's 19 minutes. 19 minutes, I think.
Okay. Right under 20.
Yeah.
To do all that in a sub 20 minute, film, it was just mind blowing to me. And to know that you did it on, a shoestring budget, if you will. Thankful for all the people that rallied around to help, support that and raise funds for that, but like, you're talking like 10 grand of a budget, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sure more that you self-funded to help make things float. And what you were able to do with a $10,000 budget was ridiculous. And again, you had some great support with people that were very talented and skilled in the acting side, and then friends that are in that industry that are just great at some of those things, from, I think you mentioned the music, and what Dominic Component did, and so many of your guys that are there. But you also carried the lion's share of all of the back end work, in addition to directing and filming some of this thing, and obviously writing it. You did the post, edit, VFX. I mean, just stuff that, like, in every normal setting, there's these experts that are having their own, specialty to develop those things, and it's not on one person's shoulders. And yet you carried it and you came out on the other side. And this thing is like, it's a mind-blowing short film for all of those factors. Even if they weren't known, you would still feel that. So, man, again, I know that was a while ago, but really proud of you. I didn't have a chance to really say that yet from the kind of a public setting like this. So proud of you in the way that you jumped into that play. You did something. How many people sit on that kind of stuff and just go, one day, maybe, when all the circumstances are perfect. And you were like, nah, man, we just got to do it. We got to pull the trigger and make it happen. And you did, and you finished it, and you released it and shared it with the world. And then you got all these little nuggets along the way. So that's definitely a thread I wanted to touch on with you, wrapping up this whole project, because we started talking about it together 51 episodes ago. And Yeah. And so now you did it. You're still working for an incredible company down in based out of Southern California, in Westbrook Media, and but you're relocating. Phil God's calling you and your wife to Tennessee, about ready to start a fresh country life. Um, Bro, how are you feeling about that idea of moving across the country and kind of restarting somewhere?
It is like to be real, it's bittersweet. We have
Sure.
such great community um, out in LA, man. We've been so blessed with friends that have been family with us through so many seasons, and from the conception of Kate and I's relationship, like just so many people have poured into us, and it was cool. We did a going away thing because we're packing up our apartment and we knew we were going to be in Spokane for about 2 weeks, and then right when we got back, we're moving. So we weren't gonna have time to see people. So we just last minute, we're like, hey, anybody that wants to stop by? Our friends Margaret, Rachel, and Alex, they opened their home to us, which was so sweet. And people just stopped by, and it was really cool just to see different people from different parts of and different seasons stop by, give hugs, and it was just a really cool, I think maybe 15 or 20 people showed up at night, but it was just like a beautiful send off and moment where it was like, and
Yeah.
this is not even it was just the tip of the iceberg of the people that we've interacted with there. But to just be loved on by them and encouraged by them stepping into this new season, that I think that the fun aspect, the adventure to me is like, I've never lived on the East Coast. I've never, driven across the country before. We're about to do that pilgrimage with you and our parents, and also
Yes.
Katie's parents, which is the coolest thing ever. So, and the funny thing is, we always said we wanted to do vacation with our parents and Katie's parents before we have kids. Fast forward, um, 3 days after we signed on our lease for our new house, we found out we are pregnant and we're gonna have a
Bro,
baby.
dropping the hottest fresh nugget on the planet right here. The first public communication
Yeah,
the Chase
yeah.
Merrill podcast is getting it. You guys are going to have a baby.
July 2024. Crazy.
Dude, congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
I I mean, to think about you two getting to be parents together, it's just, oh, bro. You're gonna be such a good dad. Thinking about the way you're gonna love that little human being, boy or girl, man. You're gonna just be melted. And Katie,
Oh yeah.
she's already seems like super mom somehow,
Yep.
in that whole
Yep.
world of things. And so, dude, and I get to be an uncle.
Yeah, man.
Come on, let's go.
We're we are over the moon excited, man. It's been so cool. Like just so far, the whole journey of it, it's like crazy that this is how life begins and how it like comes to be. Like the way that the Lord's orchestrated, yeah, as
Yeah,
humans produce incredible. Like the way that we get to like, I don't know, you just checking in on the little guy or girl, whatever. We don't know yet, but like just to like see photos and interact and like have little moments and crazy. Just such a
yeah,
blessing, and we are so excited for that adventure. And we love that we get to have 6 months or so just getting adjusted in a new state and figuring those things out. And yeah, I'm going to be a lot of changes, a lot of different things kind of coming down the pipeline. But in the midst of it, it's just growing Katie and I closer together, and we're
yeah,
our own team figuring things out and having a blast figuring things out. And um, yeah, it's just like it's weird how calm I am now. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Like I feel like I
Totally.
younger Landon would have freaked out and been like, "Oh my gosh, and all this that," and there'll probably those moments still. Let's be honest, but
No, no,
but
no. There
they're
won't be. You're gonna know what to do every single moment, every single step of the way. So
well, there's just a piece, man. There's been such a really cool piece, and I cannot wait to see Katie be a mom, dude. She's been the biggest blessing in my life, and
yeah,
her family's been incredible, and just being able to celebrate. But the cool thing is we get to go on this trip together, across the country to get to Tennessee and set up shop and figure things out. And we got family out there, and it'll be really cool just to be able to do life and start something new and learn and check out that coast. And we're just really, really excited for it. And but it doesn't mean that the pursuits of the things I'm pursuing stop. I think it's just been, we at least within the last, I've been in LA 8 years, and it's been the honestly been the most fun, incredible years of my life. And I've learned so much, and I've grown so much, and I'm excited to take those things there and apply them and figure out what the next steps are, the next journey. I think what the beautiful thing that's come to fruition this year is I finally, it kind of clicked with me. It's like it's storytelling at every medium. That is what I love. It's not
Yeah.
just film. And of
Right.
course I'm pursuing it, but it's like I love books. I love, even really good video games like that have a great story. Like anything that's got a really good story, podcast, whatever it is, that can tell something and take me along on a journey. I'm like, that's so cool. And then there's so many stories that get passed down from generation to generation where you get, wisdom, and you get these metaphors, and loving Tolkien and C.S. Lewis right now. I've just been reading a lot of their stuff, and um it's just been really, really cool and really encouraging for me. It's like, maybe there is a version of going back to the roots of, what fundamentally, like, what's that, by the campfire story that you just want to, like, you're just engulfed in, and you want to pass down. And so, yeah, I've been writing a lot. I've been working on a book since 2019. It's still not done, but at some point, yeah, the hope would be to get that published and then keep making movies on the side while I'm making, writing books and being an author. And then at some point, maybe in my 40s or 50s, I'm like, hey, I've been pursuing film, and maybe there's a movie rights, or a movie adaptation of a novel I write. Great, let's go. I want to go make it. And maybe that's my 40s and 50s. I have
Yeah.
no idea. But from
Yeah.
30 to 40, I'm like, let's have all the kids, let's do all the things, let's like have all the adventures, let's say yes to life. And man, this thing is, it's that's the thing, I have to get super zoom out on us, but there is a thing where it's like this life is so short, and we don't know when our time
Yeah.
comes. And I just want to like, I want to let um I want to live in peace, but I also want to like step forward in courage. You know what I mean? Like just having that like peace in the home, peace in relationships, but stepping forth into the unknown, which I to me is courage, and having fun and saying yes to life. And it's like live a life that's, you know good enough to be adapted into a movie. Something that you would want to watch yourself. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to live
Yeah.
just vicariously through all these movies and the stories. I still want to live my own life too. And I think I came to that conclusion this year. As much as I invest in these fantasy worlds and these things I want to create, I really want to keep investing into my own journey and life and walk with the Lord, and relationships. And it's like, and this is gonna sound so cheesy, last part. I had this little epiphany. It might not sound good, but I don't care. I just had this moment where like I'm leaving LA, and there's these people in my life from different walks of life, whatever, and I just see them as characters in a movie. Like they're just like they're these characters. I'm like, oh, how cool that these are the characters in our movie. You know what I mean? Like I know it sounds weird, but I'm like, oh, I love these guys. Like it's like when somebody pops up on
Yeah.
screen and you're like, oh, I love that character. Like when I get a phone
Yeah.
call or we get a hangout and that person pops in, I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorite characters, and it's a person I know.
Characters.
It's a person that is a friend that pours
Yeah.
into us, and like I don't get to just read about them or watch them. I interact with these people. I do life with these. I break bread with these
Yeah.
people, and I'm just so blessed by
Yeah.
friendship and family. And yeah, man, just really cool. Just a cool new season of adventure that I'm just like, I feel like I'm getting on a boat and I'm about to sail, and it's just like cool. All right,
Yeah.
uncharted waters. Whew, all right,
Yeah.
but like excited,
Well, what you didn't realize is that your album cover was prophetic, is basically what you're saying.
Yeah,
Bro,
album
the
art, or
daydream kid in a paddle.
album art by David
And
Gridley.
David Gridley, right?
David
Right.
Gridley. He did all that. He did the photos.
You're in a rowboat, right?
I'm in a rope, or in a, yeah. No, I'm in
Raft.
a
That's
yellow,
right.
yeah, raft. But I have a oar, like I'm supposed to be, in a rowboat, and
Right. That's
I'm
what I
in like
mean.
a,
So man,
yellow fisherman's jacket.
you just described it. You just
Yeah.
described what you're about to embark on this little float out into the unknown, but now
Well,
in tow with a wife and a baby to come.
well, did you know that Merrill means of the sea? Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. I like was like
Where did you find that
we're
out?
looking up a lot of baby names, okay? And so I was like, well, what does
Oh,
Merrill
okay,
mean?
okay. You're
And it means
yeah.
of the
Nice,
sea.
nice.
And I'm like,
That's
there's
just
always
because
been a
some of like our like 17th great grandfather back, like John Merrill was rowing across from England in a big old tugboat or whatever, and was like, huh, what's my name mean? Let's just do it right here. We're here. Let's call it good, guys. We're not gonna go much more complicated than that. Merrill means of this place I'm in right now.
yeah. So,
Sorry,
I've
keep going.
always
So your baby
there
names.
no, but there's always been a like, not to get weird about it, but like I just feel like there's always been a tie to that for me. Like I like the Overcast
Yeah,
album. Like I
sure.
just saw the sea in my
Yeah,
head for some reason. I've always been
yeah,
obsessed with like that kind of like old, mythology of like fishermen, whatever, battling sea creatures. There's just something fun about it. But I think it's the unknownness of the horizon. It's the unknownness of everything underneath you. You don't know what's underneath you, and then you're in this man-made vessel, and you have to. I don't know. There's something cool in Adventure Time. I'm not going to go be a sailor. I'm just saying that the imagery is great, and I
yeah.
like that our name has some correlation to it, just a little bit.
Yeah, that's
But
cool. I
yeah.
like that
So that's
too.
it. Yeah,
I like
yeah. I
that
mean,
too.
you. I mean,
That's
Chase
good.
Andrew, right? I mean, let's break that down real quick.
Yeah.
Chase means strong, manly, and then Andrew means hunter.
Chase means
So you're.
Chase means yeah, you got it reversed, but yes,
Oh, okay.
Chase means hunter, and Andrew means I think
Strong,
technically
manly.
Andrew means strong manly.
Yeah, which is all
Yeah,
old English.
yeah.
But so you have strong, manly hunter as Chase Andrew Merrill, and then I'm Landon Philip Merrell, and Landon means open grassy meadows, and Philip means lover of horses, which I've never ridden a horse in my life. But that being said, we got little flowers and horses, and we got strong, manly hunter. I think of the sea is the one part that I'm like, there it is. The beard, it
Yeah,
works.
there
It
you
works
go.
out.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh man, well both of those both being a lover of horses and open grassy meadows, both of those environments could be on the battlefield of war. Or, I mean there's lots of
all right, I'll
ways
take that.
to bring, connect some of that strong manliness to the table. Okay, hey, as I kind of come to a conclusion with the conclusion, uh just thinking about this next season for you guys, man, so pumped and so excited for what the Lord is doing and will do. And again, just celebrating so many of these things that you shared for you and your family. And the thought too that you are stepping into almost like it's I think about not to be cliche even more with some of these imageries, but the whole idea of charting out from a place that you are presently docked, if you will, or where you are, is that
Mm,
in order there's both simultaneously a releasing of one
mm,
to be able to go into the other. Like you can't go into the open waters if you're still connected to the place that you've been docked. And the fact that you've spent 8 years in LA chasing the dream and some of the call of what the Lord's put on your life, and I just think about the odds and the statistics with that whole world and how you already you broke past a lot of those numbers just being there and going, I'm not giving up. And yet you're finding yourself being able to release in this season, while stepping into something new and trusting the Lord. And man, I'm just so proud of you. There's just so much there that when I think about the man you are now on the other side of 8 years of the stepping into that uncharted territory you floated into 8-9 years ago, if you will. Um, it's just incredible to see the man that you are, and even in this last year, the man that you have become as a husband and a to-be dad in 2024. So love you a ton, and man, can't wait to do a travel across the country to help you move in the next couple weeks to Tennessee. We're gonna make some memories. I felt bad. I kind of got that kind of dive bombed in on your guys' little dream of doing this vacation trip with mom and dad and Katy's parents, and I just felt like how can I get a part of this trip as well. So I kind of invited myself, but
hey,
no, can't wait for that.
I can't wait. I think we're all excited for that. Real quick before we go, can you just give me one piece of advice after doing 52 episodes of this show? something that stuck out to you. You're like, man, I'm so just even if it stopped here, I hope it doesn't. But if it stopped here, what's the thing you're like? This is the thing I took away from doing 52 episodes, 52 conversations with different human beings, different walks of life. What would that thought be? I mean, it's probably hard to sum up, but like, what would your off the top of your head? What's something you're really glad you did, or you did this, or what's the reason?
Oh man, there really there are really a ton of different threads that I could highlight. I'm sure just um, but for the sake of that question, I think honestly, like what surprised me the most about the process was genuinely how impacted I was being able to have these conversations with people that had a point of impact in my life. I was so blown away at the ability to just get to recount some of those moments with people, even if it was maybe smaller than others or whatever. It didn't really matter, and it almost like every episode had created almost like a tunnel of just them and me being able to fully be in a conversation with just the two of us, or 3, 2 on 1, whatever it was. And whether it got recorded and was able to be shared or not, it was so worth that moment with them, like getting to talk and share and hear the journey that they had been on. And so I think the thread out of that is just for people to really take an audit of the relationships and the people in their life that they have. And man, I almost would even encourage people to do their own 52 project. Like,
Mm,
maybe turn into a podcast or, have to document. But if you were to sit down one day for 30 minutes and just begin to write down names of people that you really are thankful for the impact they've had on your life. And then you were to take an intentional um, an intentional plan to communicate to them at some point over this next year that how thankful you are for the way that they impacted you and grateful for their life. Um, I just think, man, how many relationships and people would be healthier if they were able to
mm,
know the kind of impact that they had, and for the person on that journey to remember, oh, I wouldn't be who I am without that person. Or
wow.
I can't believe how much my life has been impacted because of that moment, and the way that they engaged me or took me under their wing or saw me. And I just think that we live life so fast and we live life so busy. A lot of the time it's too fast and too busy for people, and for the people that really at the end of the day matter the most. And so that was the thing I think I was the most surprised about. That it's not necessarily advice, but maybe the thread of advice there is like, go on your own 52 project journey. um make 2024, like, to your point, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We don't know when our time's gonna come, or any of those people in our life that could be. There were 2 or 3 people that I wish I did my 52 project a year or 2 or 3 ago, so that I
Mm,
could have, or more, so that I could have been able to have that conversation with them, because of the impact they made on my life before they had passed away. And
wow.
so, man, make sure you tell the people that have made an impact on you. Tell them, let them know, and don't delay. And seriously, write a list down so you can do one a week. Maybe text them, call them, send them a letter. Make them a video. Go see them in person. Take them to lunch. And I just think your life will be so much more rich. I know my life on the other side of this project is so much more rich, having those rekindling moments with those people, from all different walks and seasons of life, to go now for the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. That is a moment from that conversation, from their episode, I will have to be able to connect with them on for the future. That
Love it.
is fresh. And if
Mm,
it was something that, like, if it was, my whatever grade teacher from whatever, if I didn't have that moment of talking with this episode, it would have been 20, 30 years from now, 50 or 60 years from when I had that. But now I've got something fresh that keeps those connections even more alive. And I mean, and relationships is ultimately what it's all about. So that's a nutshell, obviously a big nutshell, because it was not pretty convoluted in all those words. But welcome to the life of Chase Merrell. I think that could be the next episode, the next name of a podcast, the convoluted words message of Chase. That's a thanks for asking, bro. And to everybody that was a part of this thing, from from the guests, from the people that were, on the actual podcast with me, that made the time and space to do it. Some of them just overcame fears and anxieties of talking in front of people, or, recording themselves, and technology overcoming, schedule things. I mean, so much. Obviously, your ability to have these moments is only as effective and impactful as those that are able to participate in it with me, and that's a huge testament to those that were a part of the project. You mentioned Andy Irwin, who's helped me almost on every single one of these episodes, helped me put them together so that they are as quality as possible from an audio and visual kind of experience for people to get it into the interwebs, for people to be able to watch and listen. Andy, man, I know you're going to be listening to this because this is the last one here. Cannot thank you enough for all of your time and effort into helping me come to this point. Massive claps and props to that man and his family for the sacrifice he gave there. So many friends that, encouraged along the way, that, workout sessions, sauna sessions, which have been slimmer. My body's not so much slimmer, but those sessions have been slimmer because I haven't been as in the gym. But friends that were just like encouraging me along the way. There's so many people to thank there. Here's what I would say to you going forward. I'm really excited for a season of rest, and to come into 2024 and be able to take the entire month of January off of releasing podcasts, and making that kind of consistent content that did take time and energy, and time from family and different things throughout the year. I do plan on the plan for 2024 is that the Chase Merrell podcast is going to continue. We are going to step into a new season, what that looks like, and it won't be an episode a week. It probably will be more realistically twice a month, every other week or so. We'll release a fresh episode, and more to come on that. But for sure, the call is to take a rest and really lean into time with the Lord in January and my family, and be okay with the pause. I think there's a fear that, like, man, I did 52 in a row. I got all this momentum. I'm going to lose all of it if I don't keep producing. And that's part of the journey that the Lord has been calling me to step into in this next season. More I'll share on that to come, but that's something I'm looking forward to. The podcast will continue starting in 2024, February 2024. There's a book I've talked about. My prayer is to have it completed by the end of the March or April 2024 and release that by the summer. And man, I'm so excited about that. Just cannot wait to share, and yet terrified to share that with the world, because it's the most vulnerable I've ever gotten. And I don't know, people probably would already say I'm pretty vulnerable, but this is another level of that. Cannot wait to share that book. I've got my first little ebook I'm looking to release in February, mid-February, or after the Super Bowl. And it's called They Just Don't Get It. And it's going to be like a handbook on helping effective communication and restoring relationships with the generations. And it's kind of like a book for Gen X and for Gen X children, adult children, millennials and kind of older Gen Z that are just having a hard time figuring out how to communicate and be in healthy relationships with their parents or people that are a couple generations above them or below them. So it's kind of towards both ends. And so I'm almost done with that. Excited about that. And then I probably will see a way to I'd love to turn this whole project into some kind of book or 52-week devotional, and be able to really take some of the incredible moments I got to have with people and, capture them even more in a way that's on paper or in a bound some way for the non-podcast listener to be able to go, I don't want to hear Chase's voice on my headphones, but I would read from a page that I can make up his voice in my own mind. And I just think I owe it to the guests that were on this thing to be able to share moments from their episodes that just were awesome and impactful, to be able to put it together in a way that I could share it even more and even longer, the impact. So some of those things are coming after a good season of rest, and reestablishing some rhythms. And I was reminded just recently by my buddy Josh, as I was talking to him about this book and wishing that it was already done. I just felt like I've been working on this book for like 3 years, and I told him I need to get it done. It just needs to be done, you know. And he just made the comment. He's like, "Yeah, but dude, remember, like, good things take time, and if this is a good thing, why would you want to rush a good thing and make it a bad thing?" And I was like, man, that just was a great little reminder going into this next season. And I hope that encourages other people too that are going, I'm this old, I should be already here at this point, or I wish I'd already accomplished this with my dreams and my career, you know, or whatever it is. Man, good things take time. And when they're surrendered to Jesus, you actually see there's so much more, as cliche as it is, there's so much more in the journey and in the process and in the project itself that is worth its weight in gold that he wants to do in and through you than whatever you think the outcome or the product, you know, is going to end up being. So yeah, man, 52 episodes. We're here. We made
Let's
it.
Go. Heck yeah, man. So proud of you, dude.
We made it.
So proud of you.
Thanks, dude. Thank you. Well, I'm going to wrap this thing up by telling my incredible wife, Holly Ann Merrell, how much I love her. Thankful. I shared it last week on our episode, and by the way, people didn't listen to that. Go listen to that, man. She's just, she's incredible. She just dropped some freaking wisdom bombs. But man, I'm so thankful for her and our kids and the ability and grace that they gave me to be able to do this. In fact, I'm wrapping this up right now to go back and have a family dinner with my family and my in-laws, and but Holly and the kids just they're my why here, because I've been on a journey. Got the sign probably backwards in the back behind me. People that would watch this, freed up to build up. The whole podcast why of wanting to share part of my journey of being freed up from things that have held me back for so long, so I could be built up into who God made me to be, and ultimately build up the people around me. And then hearing other people's stories of being freed up to build up. Man, I know my kids are going to get a more freed up and built up dad in this next season because of what I got to walk out over this last year with the 52 project. So there it is. Excited for the things to come. Thankful for the things that have been. In all of it, God is good. He is faithful. Jesus is the center of it all. Man, he's so good. So, dude, I love you. Thank you for helping me start this thing and finish this thing.
Heck yeah, man. I love you too. Thanks for having me. And looking forward to next season of the Chase Merrell podcast.
Yeah. And, you know, I might have to put a poll on this thing somewhere and ask if people think that either A, you need to be a reoccurring guest on the Chase Merrell podcast, or B, we just need to start our own Merrell Brothers podcast and be able to live life a little unfiltered. I don't know if people will handle that or not, but it could be a demand that the people may want it. So we'll maybe put that to the poll and see what 2024 holds. For all the people that have listened to this, for people that have supported it, for our Patreon members that have been a part of not only prayerfully but financially supporting the podcast so that it can help get farther messages and further. But just cannot thank you enough for being a part of believing in this, and cannot wait to see what the Lord continues to do. So with that, thanks for listening. Until next season, I'll see ya.